Welcome to Amanda Hall's Psychic Mini Workshop. This week we're working with the new moon in Taurus. So I'd like to get some T's and C's out of the road as I welcome everybody to our workshop number 14. My, haven't the week's gone. Let's be very clear on things. I do not perform free readings here on the mini workshop series. My aim is to educate and enlighten you about things that are happening astrologically as we work our way around the zodiac. We work with the new moon and the full moon each month as they change energies. We also work with other psychic areas or other areas that may be of interest to you and helping you bring more balance and harmony into your lives. I like to work with and tie it in with one of my soy candles from my 28 in my range. And this is part of the way that I teach you to work with your intent, purpose and direction. I will not be giving shout outs during this time because I like to focus on the information that I'm going to share with you. But I promise you in the next 24 hours, I will personally reply to anybody that gives me a shout out, that says hello, wants to leave a comment there. You're all very, very, very welcome. And for those of you that may not know who I am, my name is Amanda Hall Psychic. I've been in the psychic industry here in Australia for over 40 years now. I've had a couple of little windfalls along the way. I've been inducted into the Psychic Hall of Fame in 2013. And for the 4th year in a row, I've been given the prestigious award voted by the public as Australian Psychic of the Year. So I thank you to everybody that's voted for me. I have been a teacher. I've staged events, I've worked at events, I've done a lot of television, a lot of media, a lot of radio, newspapers, written lots of things. I've developed a tarot set that's been out in the marketplace now about 13 years called Simply Tarot. We're now on to our second major project that's been in the marketplace now for 12 months called Secrets of Tarot with my amazing publisher Hinkler Books out of Melbourne. Our products have gone worldwide. We've had huge success overseas. I've been known as one of the industry leaders as far as teaching tarot and teaching astrology, and I've been affectionately known as the master of tarot. I don't know that that's something that sits comfortably with me. I just do what I do, and I like to share my knowledge along the way. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to start doing these little mini workshops, was to help people understand how to work with the power and the energy of a candle, and how that we can bring massive changes into our lives by just learning to focus and setting our goals, our intent, our purpose and our direction. And sometimes it's more the power of the mind and just focusing and using a tool like a candle to help us focus that gives us the opportunity to bring into our lives the things that we so desperately desire. And the thing is, in this very busy, modern, fast-paced, moving world of ours, we think, yes, 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 I'm going to say affirmations, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have a vision board, and I'm going to do that and the other, and we get all gung-ho, and we do it for 1 day or 2 days, and then all of a sudden, it's like we're so time poor, we're so tired, we've got so many other things to do that it's like, I'll do that tomorrow. And this is why I like to sort of try and teach people to work with the tools that you've got, work with the resources that you have. You don't have to spend a fortune. This is not about just a little sales pitch for you to go and buy my candles at the end of the workshop. That's great. If you want to do that, that's terrific. But if you don't, I'm happy to tell you that you work with what you've got. If you've got a house full of candles, even if they're ones from the $2 shop or household grade candles or ones you've had, given to you as gifts, let's work with them first. Don't squander our resources. It's all about making sure that we use what's at our fingertips. It's more the power and the intent and the purpose and direction and your intent that you're going to put into something that will make the changes in your lives. So this week we're working with the new moon in Taurus. Now, I hear a lot of you say, look, there's so many conflicting versions of what a new moon is versus a full moon. What's a dark moon? What's this moon? What's that? Anything new means it's something brand new. It's something we haven't yet done. It's something that we haven't yet invented. We haven't yet worked with. It's something that's new. So that's where you differentiate between the full. If something's full, if I've got a bucket full of water, I can't fit any more into it. I have to empty some out before I can add new. So that's how you differentiate between the two new moons. So what you do with your new or full moon is a very personal thing. Some people like to put their crystals out under a new moon. I hear other people say I like to do it under a full moon. It's what personally feels right for you. If there's one thing that I've spent most of my career in the psychic industry is teaching people to follow what feels right in their gut. If it feels right to you, then that's right for you. Regardless of what anybody else says, follow what feels right for you. If it feels uncomfortable in any way, then it's not right for you, no matter who tells you it is. We don't all have to think the same. It'd be a very boring world if we were all exactly the same. So anything that I say in a workshop is a guideline. You take it on board if you feel comfortable with it, and if you don't feel comfortable with it, let it go. So working with the new moon in Taurus. The new moon in Taurus is the time where we can sort of exhale and we can say, oh, we can relax a little bit. Things can slow down, even slower than a snail at the moment. We've got time to sit down and look at our lives. It's a time for reorganizing our personal finances. It's also a time of looking at and revising what is important to us. What are the rules and regulations or the things that are important to us in how we wish to live our lives? A lot of people find at this time of the year, things that they might have always done and might have done them for 20 or 30 years, all of a sudden become obsolete, and we think, I don't wish to live my life that way anymore. I don't wish to be a doormat. I don't wish to run after everybody. I don't wish to have everybody else bringing their washing baskets full of their problems and dumping them in my lap. I no longer want to be dear Dorothy Dix answering all their problems. I'm just going to say no. And people are going to say, shock horror, why is she saying no? And she's not being her same usual receptive self, or he's not listening to me the way he used to. Well, you're allowed to say no, and you're allowed to say I've had enough. And you don't need to give a reason, and you don't need to give an excuse. It's about taking your power back. It's also about a time of giving yourself a little bit of comfort in life. Some people sort of look at it here in the Southern Hemisphere, because we're heading into the cooler months, that this is when we start to sort of ramp up the menu in the kitchen to more sort of solid, warmer sort of meals, because the days are getting shorter and colder and we want something a little bit more substantial in our tummy. Yes, that's very true, but it also coincides with the Taurian time of the year, where we tend to want to have something a little bit more substantial in our tummy than we do a salad. A salad becomes a side dish or an extra. It's not necessarily the main course, and that's because the Taurian energy is about probably grazing a fair bit through the day. But if you look at a bull in real life, a bull is a big, sturdy beast that sort of, has got stature about them. They've got some bulk to them. So they need some bulk in their diet. Even though they eat grass, they eat a lot of it, and they eventually get full. But the Taurian time of the year too is when I think we tend to think of a little bit of a treat for ourselves. We start to find this is when we get more cravings for desserts, chockies, lollies, things like that. And we blame it on the cooler weather because we're not outside swimming and running and spending time in barbecues and having a great time in the outdoors, that this is why we're doing it. No, it comes back to the Taurian time of the year as well. So be aware of that. I'm not saying don't have any. I'm saying set yourself a limit. If you say to yourself, look, I'm really craving sweet things, then set a time of the day. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll have 3 pieces of chocolate, dark chocolate, of course, because it's better for the heart. Or I'll have 3 little pieces of licorice, or I'll have that biscuit or a small piece of cake. Don't say to yourself you can't have, because once we start saying I can't have, then we start depriving ourselves and we start limiting things in our lives. What we do is say, yes, you can have that, but you can have a small portion of it so that there's more to go round tomorrow and the next day, or some to share with someone else. Not that the Taurian energy likes to share, but what we're trying to establish is setting up in every area of our life that we're not putting limitations on anything, whether it's food, whether it's sweets, whether it's money, whether it's progress, whether it's opportunities, whether it's our friends, whether it's limiting anything that gives us pleasure, because the Taurian energy is about comfort. It's about money making, it's about setting foundations, and it's also about looking at budgeting and the things that are important to us. I know in the last week my inbox has been overflowing with people saying to me, Amanda, please tell me what's going on. I'm feeling this most amazing energy one minute, and the next minute I'm absolutely terrified. I don't know what I'm doing. I sort of feel like I'm losing control. Well, we've had a major energy shift, and I'll only talk about this very briefly because this is not what the workshop is about, but we've had a major energy shift yesterday where the planet Uranus has moved out of Aries and has now started his 8-year journey into Taurus. So this is why people have had that seesawing sort of energy. It will be seesawing like that, maybe not quite as wildly as it has in the last week, for at least the next 3 or 4 months. So if you get a chance, Google what Uranus in Taurus is going to mean to you, or go back and watch my previous show, which will be uploaded in the next 24 hours on my workshop and show page, where I've just been talking about Uranus in Taurus on my previous show on A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV out of the Washington district in the US of A. So I spent a good 5 minutes talking about that. So you'll be able to go back and binge watch that on the link that's in the blurb there. of where you can play catch up on all the shows. So for those of you that want to start working with the new moon in Taurus, the new moon actually started here in Australia yesterday. I believe we work with the energy for 2.5 to 3 days. So we're still looking at another 2 days. I always like to work with an energy of a moon cycle of 7 days, 2 days on the lead up before the new moon or the full moon, 3 days of the actual moon cycle, and then 2 days for the taper off. So what you would do is you'd get 2 pieces of paper. You would start putting down some new ideas of things that you would like to bring into your life. Now, there may be something immediate that you're very close to completing that might just need that final shove to get it completed, or there may be just some very, very scant, brand new ideas that have just come in and they're only a few words. Put those down. I like to try and work on the lots of 3, something immediate, more medium term, and something more long term. So if we were going to be working with one of my candles, we'd be working with the earth sign candle, and we'd be working with an earth sign candle in as much as we'd be working with the earth sign candle for Taurus, but we'd also be working with a new moon candle. So I'm only just going to feature the Taurian one today. Those of you that watch the show regularly, you'll know that there's one that we have particularly for the new moon as well. You can burn both, or you can burn either one. So let's just say that you've just got the earth sign candle. So I would be suggesting to you, you've written 2 lists. You put a coaster or a plate or something underneath the candle before you put it on your piece of furniture. The reason for doing this glass container gets very hot when we start to burn it. You minimize the chance of the glass container cracking, plus you also minimize damaging your furniture with the glass vessel getting hot and maybe scorching a timber table. Now, underneath the coaster is where you put your first list. As you go to light your second list, and I'll try and tip it forward so you can see it. These candles have 2 wicks. I'm a bit of a tighty. I only light one side of the candle one day and the other side the next day. The reasons I do that, you get a longer burn time out of your candle, but more importantly, it stops the glass from getting too hot. When we only had 1 wick in there, we had too much wastage of the wax. This way, then you get pretty much a clean burn. You won't get much wax left over at the end, but it also gives you about 30% more burn time, of your 30 to 40% more burn time than the recommended by the candle suppliers. They recommend 60 hours. I can get 100 hours out of my candles if I don't sit them under a breeze, under an air conditioner, under curtains, and keep them, of course, away from children and pets. For those of you that think that maybe that's not necessarily what I want to do, yes, I love to work with flames, Amanda, but I don't necessarily feel that it's safe in the environment that I'm in because I'm wandering around the house and I'm doing things. You can always purchase one of these melt warmers from your supermarket. I picked this one up for under $20 at my local supermarket this week. These are electric. They have a little button on the side that you can turn them on, and you can actually take a spoonful of your wax out of your candle, put it directly into the top of your melt warmer. They're like an old-fashioned oil burner, but we're not putting a candle underneath the bottom. You put your actual list underneath the oil burner, underneath your melt warmer, like you would underneath your candle. Again, I would put it on a coaster. That's just me. And then you light it, and you can leave that going all day. And then the next day, you can just add another teaspoon to it or another half a teaspoon to it, and you can leave that going. But don't forget to read out, as you're firing it up, read out what you want. Spend a couple of minutes focusing on it in a meditative state so that you're putting the energy in there. You're doing the same intent as you would by using a candle. So that's an alternative that you've got. No, we don't sell them because you guys can go to the local supermarket, throw it in your weekly groceries, and you've got it straight away, and it saves on postage. Now, for those of you that might be traveling and taking your melt warmer with you is not exactly the thing you want to pop in your suitcase, we do have these little mini size ones. They come in a box of 3, gift size set. This one's I've done this week is the 3 earth signs, but look, you can choose any 3 candles you like. You could say have a new moon, a full moon, and your own star sign, or you could have a love candle or a passion candle. There's 28 in the range, so feel free to check those out. They are available on my website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. When you go to the checkout and you make a purchase, for people here in Australia, we can offer free postage. For our overseas customers, unfortunately, we can't. We only offer a flat fee. So might I suggest, if you want to buy a couple of things, save up your pennies and buy them all in one go, and we can pop them in on one lot of postage only. Now, when you get to the checkout, don't forget to type in the word Facebook in capital letters in the coupon box, and you will get a discount. For those of you that would like to join our our mailing list, and we send out a weekly newsletter and a little reminder about the shows that are coming up. And plus, from time to time, we have some very extra special bonuses for our Amanda School Psychic family that I send out randomly, where we have some great little opportunities for, you know, purchasing things at a discounted price or going in a drawer or something like that. We have some little special things throughout the year. It's absolutely free to join. And as our little way of saying thank you and becoming part of the family, you'll be given an opportunity to get a free astrology chart emailed to you anywhere in the world, valued at $30. You are under no obligation, and I mean no obligation, to buy anything. So, you know, if other family members want to join up, as long as it's a different email address, I'm happy to send them an astrology chart too. There's no limit on how many astrology charts that are sent out. We just need an email address for that. So I'd like to sort of focus back on the new moon again now. If you don't have, as I said, any of my candles, you can use any candle that you like. Even a household grade candle can be used. Be very, very careful though, if you're going to use a melt warmer and you're going to pop a little bit of a household grade white candle in there, be very careful about adding any essential oils to it, because sometimes essential oils are very flammable and could cause a fire. So you have to be very, very careful with that. If you wanted to use that and use it with an essential oil, I don't know that I'd be using an essential oil. I think I'd be buying a fragrant candle, or going back to the old-fashioned way of using one of those tea light candles with the oil burner and a bit of water and putting the oil fragrance in there. You could do that. That would work the same way, but it may not be quite as powerful as having the wax and the heating. Well, I suppose, yes, it probably would work the same way. It's just that I've never personally done it that way. I've always worked with candles all my working life. So candles are my thing. So going back to the new moon. Now, the new moon is something that I think we all need to embrace. Some people say to me, I can't sleep under a new moon. I have difficulty. My mind won't shut down. Things are going backwards and forwards in my mind. And I can put my hand up. My night last night was like that. I think I had about 2 hours sleep, and it was nearly time to get up and start the day. And I was a little bit cross with myself because there was no reason for me to do such forward planning for the rest of my year when I should have been resting. But sometimes these are the ways that things affect us, and particularly when we've got this major shift of Uranus coming into Taurus, we've got the sun in Taurus, we've got the new moon in Taurus. There's just so much activity going on in the slow down sign of Taurus at the moment that I think Taurus is even in a bit of a head spin as an energy, because there's just so much activity there and hasn't been like that for such a long time. So, you know, bear in mind, just take it a bit easy over the next 24 hours. Make sure that you're a little bit more observant if you're working with machinery or you are driving. Be a little bit more patient with people. People aren't probably going to be really in their head at the moment. They're going to be sort of so distracted that they might not even see something or hear you or be focusing on things. So we all need to be a little bit more mindful of that. So on next week's show, we're going to change the energy of the type of workshop that we're going to do next week. We're going to focus on travel. And travel is one of my favourite things to do in my life, as I'm sure it is for many people. But travel isn't always about having a bag and throwing some clothes in it and going off to an exotic place or a location for a trip. It can be the travel or the journey of life. So I hope you can join us next week for our travel workshop. It should be a very interesting workshop as we explore what travel means to each and every one of us. For those of you that want to join me earlier next week, I do have a show at high noon here on Facebook on A1R Psychic Radio on Facebook. You can, it's definitely live on Facebook, on Periscope and thousands of other places, but you can definitely find it on Facebook. They have a live show out of the Washington District 3 nights a week, which here in Australia is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it kicks off about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, goes for 4 hours. They have amazing psychics and healers from all around the world. Each show is very different. Each show has some very informative information to share with you. All the shows do conduct free readings, so you can join and get on the wait list for that night's show and hopefully get picked to go on the show and get your questions answered free of charge. And then after I've concluded that show, then I come across here to Facebook to do the Facebook Live. So I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I hope you've enjoyed what we've been talking about today, and I look forward to working with you again all next week. And bye for now. Have a great week.